SUU students, welcome to our first ever virtual forum. I just completed an hour-and-a-half forum with faculty and staff, and it seemed to go well. We're learning a little bit about this technology, but it was nice. We had more faculty and staff log into this forum than we would have ever had if we'd have done it in the church auditorium. And I'll bet that we'll have more students log in here than we would have if it had been face-to-face as well. So I've got just a few things to mention, and then submit questions. You can start submitting questions anytime you'd like. And after about 10 minutes of just some introductory things that I've got for you, we'll start into questions. My plan is to mostly answer questions. I don't really have a big presentation prepared. You're all aware that if you go to our website, we have frequently asked questions and a whole lot of information there, so you can always keep going to that spot, and it gets updated regularly. So we've got people working a lot of extra hours to keep all these things going in addition to their regular job assignments. But I want to start out by telling you some very happy news. The Utah legislature during this last session gave us $45 million to build a new building on campus. And this is great news for a whole bunch of reasons. You should be able to see an image that has three pictures on them. The one picture on the top right is an artist's rendition of what this building will look like. It's 90,000 square feet, and 90,000 square feet. So to give you a perspective of how big that is, the library is 82,000 square feet. So this is bigger than the library. It's bigger by far than the general classroom building, bigger than the science building. So this is a big building. The only academic, if you can call it academic, the PE building is academic, but then has the swimming pool and all those things. That's probably the only building that's bigger than this one. Of course, the America First Event Center is bigger, the Student Center is bigger, but in terms of our academic buildings, this probably is our biggest facility. And so the one image that you see in the upper right corner is what it's going to look like from the intersection. On the left side of your screen, you can see kind of a rust-looking L-shaped, backwards L-shaped square. That's where the building will sit, and that's kind of what it looks like. This isn't a scale drawing. I just put these boxes together over the weekend. That's where it is. So you can, if you remember this space well, this is the multi-purpose quad. To the bottom of the image, right there on the street, is a small parking lot. That parking lot's going to go away because the building will be on top of it. But we're doing that to preserve as much of the quad as we can. So you'll still be able to have a lot of activities out there. If you look on the south side of the building, that's across the street to the south, you'll see a little blue box. That box is a new parking lot. So the parking that we're giving up, where this building's going to go, will be replaced where that box is. This is to the west of student housing. So that's a spot where you can park if you're going to this building. And then we have that entire stadium parking lot that's now available. And the reason why this building is here instead of up on the upper campus is because we wanted to kind of spread the parking around. So this is going to relieve some of the pressure on that big parking lot by the PE building, up by the intersection with the light, kitty corner from SUMA and the Shakespeare Festival. So there'll be less demand on that parking lot, and a lot of people will now be parking in the stadium parking lot. So what we find is that everybody wants to park as close to the building that has their first class as possible. So this will help alleviate some of those stresses. And you can see on the bottom image to the right, it shows you what this sort of looks like from the back side. And you can see that great big lawn that we're preserving. So you can play Frisbee and student activities and all kinds of things there. So super excited about that. This is $45 million. And if we added up all of the funding the legislature has given us for new buildings, this is more than half of what they've given us in the last 25 years, even adjusting for present value. So this is a big deal. Who's going to be in this building? If you look at the next slide that just popped up, you can see the departments. So this building is going to have most of the art and design department. So if you're studying graphic art or painting, drawing, illustration, all those kinds of things, this building will have your faculty and courses in. I believe that ceramics will stay where it is because we've invested so much in the kilns, and that's really great space. But pretty much the rest of the art department will move into this building. And then we'll also have the history, sociology, and anthropology department will move over into this building. And some of our aviation faculty members. Most of our aviation employees are out at the hangar, but we have a few that are up on campus. They're going to move into this building. The math department will be here. So most of you will take classes in this building, one way or another. If you've still got a math class, you probably will. But then the building is also going to be available for all the other departments. So it'll be a very well-used building. 3 stories tall, L-shaped, pretty, brand new, a lot of labs, a lot of classrooms. So that's the good news. The legislature is funding money for us to build, giving us money for arts and humanities and for math. They value all the things that we're doing. And this will be, so it's going to go out to bid in about a month and a half or so. We've almost completed the design work, so it's just about ready to go out. And then construction will start later in the year and take, I think, less than a year and a half, just a little bit more than a year to finish construction. So it'll be ready for us to go soon enough. Let's see. That is what I have for you on the building. And I'm looking at questions, so ship your questions in. The first question I have is, with this new building, do we get more parking spots? The answer is yes. We're going to build a new parking lot across the street. And the stadium parking lot that's always underutilized is going to be available. So you'll see an improvement on parking on campus. Let's see if there's another question about the building. I've got a screen here that brings up the questions you're sending in, but they're not always as fast as you send them in. So if there's a little delay, it's because I'm waiting for the question to pop up. Will there be any chance of us returning to campus this spring semester? The odds are low. We have determined, as have all the other universities in Utah, that we will be doing online through the end of the semester. There's not a chance that we'll be going back to face-to-face classes. And that's important for you to know because a lot of you are moving home or have moved home. And you don't have any need to come back during the semester to finish up. So this will be online through the rest of the semester. See, the library, there's a question here about the dining services, the library, the student center during this semester. So we're actually encouraging students to move home if that's a possibility for you. Of course, a lot of our international students can't move home, and it wouldn't be a good idea to do that because you might not be able to get back in time for summer semester, but we're encouraging students who can to just move home. But we know that a lot of students will stay. And for those of you that stay and need to, in our housing, for example, that means we have to have dining services open. So housing will remain open. Dining services will remain open. The student center will stay open, although a lot of the offices will be closed with phone numbers. But we've been asked to, when I say we've been asked, that's my polite way of saying that the governor has ordered us to do everything that we can to have our faculty and staff work from home. Now, some of them, because of whatever the circumstances, will still work from campus, but we need to treat them as if they're working from home to avoid contact as much as possible to keep the spread of the coronavirus down. But you might come up to the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and see that it's locked and you can't get in, but there'll be a phone number on it so that if you need something, you can call them. You can call them from Cedar City or from wherever you are to get the same support either place. We're going to try to keep all the services going as much as we can possibly keep them going. Of course, all the employees will still be working. It's just that most of them will be working from home through spring semester. Question, what departments will be in the building? I'm assuming that question came in before I answered it. Graphic art and design, mathematics, some aviation, and history, sociology, and anthropology, plus other faculty will use the space. Building will be completed in time for January of 2022. So it'll be ready to go in a year and a half from now. The new parking lot, will it be free or will parking passes go with it? I don't actually know the answer to that question. But I'll put that question in our folder to make sure we figure out what the answer is going to be. Because it's 18 months away, we haven't thought through that, 20 months away. But you'll find that parking is more accessible with this new building than it was before. Everybody that has their first class in this building will be down in the stadium parking lot. Everybody that has their first class up on the upper campus will be parking up there. It'll spread everybody else out. What is the plan for summer semester? So I'm reading questions off this screen for those of you that are wondering when I look to the side and start reading. This is a question that one of you submitted. What is the plan for summer semester? Is it possible that summer could be online at the start, then change to face-to-face later during that semester? Yes. So our plan right now is to continue summer as we have it, which means that about half of our classes are online and half of our classes are face-to-face. And our hope is that that's the way it will go. But we're planning to kind of be prepared as well as we can to shift online if that becomes necessary. Here's some other good news, and that is that almost every class we have is in blocks. And the classes that aren't in blocks may end up, we may end up trying to find a way to solve that issue should this become an issue, and that is that, we may still be in this COVID social distancing only online for the first part of summer. We don't know. We're hoping not, but it's possible. And if that occurs, then we have summer divided into two blocks, first block, second block. Hopefully the first block would move to online, but the second block could still be face-to-face. Again, we'll monitor this as we move through it. Nobody's certain about what's going to happen. But sign up for your classes, whether it's online or face-to-face. Get registered for them. Then we know that you're interested in those courses. And should it become necessary to shift from face-to-face to online during the first half of summer, the first block, then we'll know that you've wanted this class, and it'll motivate us to get that class available for you online should we need to do that. How will this affect student workers during the summer semester? Our plan is to have no negative impact on student workers during this semester or next semester. That's our intention. Hopefully we'll be able to hold to that. We realize that many students can't go to summer school without a job, and so that's a high priority for us. Stay in contact with your supervisors, whoever's working with you, but our plan is to have summer jobs still available. And of course, a lot of them we have to do anyway. We still have to mow the lawn, take care of the gardens, all the maintenance things. Faculty will still need teachers' assistants. Most of the jobs we'll still need. The jobs that we might not need is if, for example, if the first couple weeks of summer we can't open the fitness center, but then we're able to on week 3 or week 4, or whatever time that is. So there may be a slow start up for a couple jobs, but our plan is to keep everybody employed as you are planning so that you don't lose any income at all. You've probably heard that student employees for this semester, so if you have a job on campus with SUU or with Chartwells, we're going to guarantee you your income, even if the job gets lost. So if you go home and move back with your family, we assume that you're not available for the work and that you don't need the money to pay for your housing, or whatever it might be. But if you remain in Cedar City and you're willing to work and you're willing to take a newly assigned job, then we'll keep paying you without any interruptions in your salary. It just might be that instead of working at the fitness center, we'll find some other place for you to work. What we're actually doing is we're collecting all the names of students who have student jobs on campus. We're sending those to our human resource office, and that's going to be kind of a job bank, like a temporary service. And other departments who can use your help will then go there and start calling to see with work. Okay. I'm scheduled to begin the aviation program on May 11th. Can I still plan on this program beginning on time as scheduled? Yes. You should be able to plan on that happening. And stay in contact with those who work in our aviation program, but we're expecting that will start. We have a small, we're treating the aviation labs a little differently than the other labs because it is not possible to do an aviation flight without being in an airplane. But it is possible to do the other labs even if they're not quite the same quality. So all of our labs this semester are online except for aviation flight instruction. And in the summer, if for some reason we have any challenges, the aviation flight, we're expecting it to continue as it is. And we're taking enormous extra precautions to make sure that the airplanes and helicopters are sanitized between flights and a whole lot of other things. Next question, will students still living on campus be able to get mail from the student center? Will we be able to check out books? Yes. Housing will remain open. And as long as housing is open, food services will be open. As long as housing is open, mail service will be open. You'll be able to pick up any letters or packages. The student center will remain open. We have offices closing, but the big space is still open, and we expect that to remain open. If for any reason we have to close the student center down, the governor says, I'm sorry, you have to close everything. We expect it would still be open for students, but it might be closed to the public. So all those things will be available. And you're going to be able to check out books. The library, the main floor of the library and the computer lab there will remain open. You can still use interlibrary loan. You can still check out books. All those kind of services will still be there. Will we receive a refund for our semester fitness center passes since we can no longer use them? Yes. We will fund at least if you were able to use half the semester but not the other half, we'll give you the share back that you haven't been able to use. We're going to refund housing, the prorated share. If you're in our on-campus housing, we'll refund the prorated share. We'll refund the prorated share of the fitness center fees. We cannot refund tuition or course fees. The state doesn't allow us to do that. And actually, we couldn't afford to do it anyway because we're still paying for all those services. We can't just let our employees go, teachers and all of those kinds of things. So, will there be any sort of reimbursement refund for students regarding student fees? I know these fees are utilized for sporting events, lab use, library use, etc., which are now unavailable. Most all of it is still available. You won't be using the lab, but you'll still be taking lab classes. So the cost for the labs are largely for the faculty and the kind of things that they're doing in the labs, and we'll still be delivering all of that. We can't refund lab fees or tuition or student fees because the state isn't allowing us to do that. Technically, that's state money, but we can refund all the other fees. So we'll refund everything that we possibly can. But at the same time, we're not withdrawing any of the education. It might be different. In some ways, it might be better. In some ways, it might be worse. You're still in classes. You'll still get grades. You'll still get all the credit. And we're all still working, even though it's not as obvious. Refund for meal plans. That's a question that just came in. We're working on that. I don't have an answer for you that today. The reason I don't is because your meal plans are not with SUU. The meal plans are actually with a private company called Chartwells. And when you buy a meal plan, the money goes to Chartwells. So the refunds would come from Chartwells. And we're working with them to see if that's possible, but we don't have an answer for you today. But we'll get that out and let you know. Will there be any type of changes to the grading system? Question. The question continues. I have heard rumors of pass-fail. What are the odds of this taking place, and what would that entail? That's another one that I don't have an answer for you right now, except to say that there is a discussion going on as to whether to allow you at your option to continue with your class, but shifting from a grade to a pass-fail option. And we'll be in touch with you. So stay connected to the website, go back there regularly for updates, and read your emails, because as soon as there's an answer, you'll get it. Some of the universities in Utah have said no, and some of them have said yes. And we'll have an answer for you quickly. How is the 3-year degree going to be impacted? We're hoping that the 3-year degree is not impacted at all. We're still planning on teaching all of our classes in the summer and in the fall. If we can't deliver them face-to-face, we're going to shift them to online and just keep going. I'll add, just for you so that you're aware, that we have made a decision. You know, if you have a presidential scholarship, for example, you can only use that if you're on campus, or a founder's scholarship or a dean's scholarship, any of these scholarships. We decided for this fall, just in case some of you are concerned and would rather do fall online, that we're going to allow that scholarship to apply for you, just for fall semester. But we're hoping that long before fall starts, that this is resolved and we'll all be back in classes together again. That's our preference. Let's see, what will happen to fall classes? Should we register for what would work online? I would suggest that you register for fall, assuming that classes will be face-to-face. That's what we're assuming. And then if you sign up for a class face-to-face and for some reason we have to shift to online, then we'll know that that's a class that you want to take, and we'll do what we can to make adjustments so that that can be taken online. But we'd like to know what you're signing up for, what you're interested in, And we expect that online will not be required come fall. So we think that we'll be back in business this fall. Even though we are doing online classes, does the teacher still have to give out tests? Yes. Yes, we're an accredited university, and we're obligated to teach a semester's worth of work in order to get a semester's grade. You'll have testing of some sort. It might be that your faculty members change their test. They might ask you to do a paper instead of something else, or whatever it might be. But there'll be some kind of assessment, test, project, paper, essays, something. How does the trimester system work exactly? Say I do the fall and spring semesters, but not the summer semester. Will that affect my credits and grades negatively? Great question. I'm glad you asked that. I actually don't use the word trimester because I don't think that describes what we're doing. What we're doing is this. We're still doing spring and we're still doing fall semesters, just like normal. But summer is dramatically enhanced. That's the way I look at it. So if you want to graduate in 4 years or 5 years, whatever time you want to spend, going only to fall, spring, fall, spring, fall, spring, fall, spring, then that's totally up to you. You never have to do anything in the summer. And we'll have all the classes in their series so that you can get through in 4 years, never coming to a class during the summer, online or face-to-face. But if you want to graduate in 3 years, your choice, and you can go to fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, and then you're done. So we'll have the classes, whether we're online or face-to-face, so that you can complete in 3 years or 4 years, whichever your preference might be. And as I mentioned, most of our summer classes are in blocks, the first half and second half. So you could choose to take the first half block, second half block, or both blocks. It's kind of up to you. We're expecting that the university will be open during the summer. It is possible that there will be a week or two delay, but by the time we get through the summer, we really are expecting that it'll be wide open. Housing will be open and everything else. We'll have a lot more information about summer in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we're registering students for face-to-face classes. We're registering students for online classes. So whatever you want, let's get registered and assume the best. We'll prepare for the worst, but let's assume the very best. Will the computer labs in the engineering building be open? Yes, we're trying to keep all of the computer labs on campus open, and we think that we'll be able to do that. We want to make sure that you get the support that you need to successfully complete the semester. Will the testing center be open? And will the campus bookstore be open? So the testing center, we have 2 testing centers. We have the one testing center, the large one, where you take tests for your classes. That testing center will be closed. It is closed and will remain closed through this semester. The other one is a specialized testing center. That does tests not for your classes, but the tests that are required for other, like to get certifications. That testing center will remain open. So you'll always be able to take those kind of tests. We expect the bookstore will be open through the semester. We want to make sure that you get your supplies and your books and everything that's needed. So you can expect that will remain open. Let's see, right now we can still get into buildings, like the music building. Will we still be able to get in them, or should we expect most of the campus classroom buildings to be closed to students at some point? Great question. Right now we're assuming that these buildings will all be open. So we're wanting to keep them open so that you can get to your department offices and have instructions there, or you may need to pick something up, or you might want to study in small groups. You'll need to use the computer labs perhaps. So we're thinking that all the buildings will be open through the whole semester. The nature of private lessons are changing for the music department. Question. Will we be receiving reimbursement for those? Do they qualify as course fees? So if you've paid for private lessons, my understanding is all those lessons will continue. They'll just be taught differently online. I have a friend who is taking piano lessons, and her piano teacher is in New York City. And I have another teacher, another friend, who's he's a serious hardcore runner, and his personal trainer lives in Seattle, but he lives here in Utah. There's a lot of ways that people are teaching musical instruments, vocal performance, all these things, one-on-one, online, and they're very successful. They're different, in some ways better, some ways worse, but all those things will continue to happen. Question, I haven't gotten a response from my chemistry lab professor as to how the rest of our semester will go. What should I do? You should be hearing, this is our first day back from spring break, so you should be hearing today or tomorrow. Certainly you should hear before the scheduled time for your lab. The lab is going to be different, of course, but you can expect that you'll hear from your professor. So that'll happen. Keep reaching out. If for some reason you get confused, get a hold of somebody in the department office. Today, the department offices are open. They'll probably be open the next couple days, so you can telephone in to try to get better information. The dean's offices are open right now. They might not be next week. So give a quick call, tell them your concerns. They can help answer those things. And they will always be answering the phones, even if the doors are closed. But hopefully this will be figured out for you. And if it isn't, make sure you stay in touch with your department. Next question. Oh, this is not a question. This is a very happy thought. Thank you very much, Joy. She wrote, just wanted to say thank you for how you are handling this situation. We are lucky to have you as our president. Well, I'm lucky to have you as our students. That's what makes my life so meaningful, is to be able to get energy from all of you. And as you show your patience and understanding, it helps us work through it as well. Some of you are happy to do online classes. Some of you aren't. Some of you aren't happy to do online classes, but by the end of the semester, you might think, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. And actually, it's convenient for me to do this online. So some of you will come out of this with a totally different perspective. And I know that some of you at the end of the semester will say, I toughed through that and I don't want to do it again. And that's okay. We're all doing our very best to make this as positive experience as we can. And I like to remind everyone that it doesn't matter who you are in America and probably throughout the world. Students that signed up for that spectacular experience face-to-face at Harvard University, they're all online. They were all told to go home and take every class online. Students that are signed up for community colleges around the country, they're all online. Everyone is online. We're all in this together, and we're going to make the very best out of it. Question, do you know anything in regards to SUU IIC job postings? Are they putting them on hold? Do you encourage us to still apply for those positions? We will get more information out to you, but all the information that I have today is that those jobs can all be expected to continue. We need you in those jobs. And you can, if your job has you doing something at Cedar Breaks is not going to close. Visitor centers are probably closing, but they're going to still need trail maintenance, and they're going to still need communication professionals, all the kind of things that you might have been expecting to do. Interpretation, I'm assuming, will continue. So apply for those jobs, and we'll update you if there's any change. And if you apply, then you'll for sure get contacted. So my suggestion is anybody remotely interested in an IIC summer internship, apply as soon as you can so that we have your name and we know who you are. Next question, what resources are available for those of us staying in Cedar? like married students, those of us with jobs, etc. All of our resources will still be available. Now, intramural sports are canceled. The fitness center is closed. These kinds of things that are a little bit more likely to spread the virus. But the library's open. Even though the tutoring center is closed, all of the people in the tutoring center will continue to help you. They'll just do it online. CAPS will remain open. You just won't be able to sit in an office with them, but they'll still be doing counseling with you. So pretty much everything will be available. Unfortunately for me, Chick-fil-A isn't open, but the Thunderbird Circle will be open during school. So everything's still here. It's just that you may be calling instead of stopping in the office to ask for help. Let's see, what resources are available to help graduating students find a job in this likely recession? Our career service office is going to be working hard to help. And we recognize that there's a chance of a recession. But right now, the unemployment rate in Utah is still amazing. A lot of unfilled jobs. So we're very positive about this. And the good news is, in terms of the COVID-19 challenge, the second that this is gone from us, these jobs are all back. You know, it's not like we're coming out of a war where the bridges are destroyed and the buildings are down and there's no place to go back to work. Our infrastructure is still there. The jobs are still there. People are going to be hungry to find people to help them. If a recession comes, that we can't predict, but if a recession comes, there'll be that disruption, the same that we had in 2008, 12 years ago. But I would just remain optimistic and keep going. How does the tutoring center work with it being all online? The same way, it'll work the same way everything else is working. Now, you may not know this, but there are a lot of services around the country. In fact, I have a nephew who is doing a mental health online service. And they're packed with business. So you can do mental counseling online with psychologists, psychiatrists. You can see your doctors online. We have these kiosks, and you can get all the instruments that you need and plug them into your iPhone so that they can monitor your heart rate, your oxygen levels, your blood pressure, all these kinds of things. A lot of people are seeing their physicians online. I was talking to a friend of mine. He has a pacemaker, and he said he doesn't ever go to his doctor. He just has a machine that he plugs in, and I guess he doesn't plug it in. It just communicates with his pacemaker and then sends the information to his doctor. He says, I haven't seen my doctor in 7 or 8 years, but I get emails from him. There are all kinds of tutoring centers around the country that are online only. So we're just going to take our counseling, our tutoring, all these services, and learn from what everyone else is doing and have a really high quality service for you. It can all be done, and it can be done very well. Be patient with us as we transition. So if your first tutoring session online isn't perfect, just remember that the person tutoring you is figuring it out too. But after we've done it a couple times, you're going to find that the quality's great, and it might be more convenient for you. What would a pass-fail do to our transcripts? Does it look bad for future endeavors? That's the next question I'm reading. The good news is every single college student in America, whether attending the University of Utah, Salt Lake Community College, Stanford, Harvard, any of these schools, are all going through this exact same problem. Employers, graduate schools, they all understand this exact same problem. So if your transcript, if your grades dip a little bit, or if you end up moving classes pass-fail, if that's an option here that we don't know yet, but you'll know in a few days, everybody knows that. Everyone's experiencing it. So I don't think any of that's really going to hurt you. I wouldn't worry about that. Just figure out what works best for you. Let's see. If we're unable to study under these conditions, will we be able to withdraw from classes without affecting our GPA or financial aid status? The answer to that question is mixed. So if you are on financial aid, you have to be a full-time student or else you start losing some of that aid, right? And so if you were to withdraw below the amount that you have to be registered for, you might have to return some of that money. So my suggestion if you're on financial aid is do everything to stay in classes. Know that if your grades dip, that everybody understands that. But get with your financial aid advisors, and they can give you more specific information to your situation. Everybody's probably just a little bit different. In terms of, there was another part of that question that I forgot. So if I didn't answer it completely, would you send that back? For some reason, I just forgot what the other part of that question was. But anyway, what happens to those people that are having a hard time paying fees due to the virus? Do they still get a late payment charge? That's a great question. We need to answer that one because I don't have an answer for you. But we're going to do everything we can to accommodate. The good news is that we're keeping everybody's student jobs. That if you're working off campus, they probably still need you too. Probably some jobs that have gone away. But we're going to do what we can to make sure that nobody's hurt as a result of this virus that's running around. Currently, here we go. I just got a question from our provost, which isn't a question, of course. He's contributing. He said, pass-fail grades do not affect GPAs. I think that was the question that I was asked and I forgot. So if you get a pass-fail, it just goes through without affecting your GPA at all. There might be some graduate programs that if they see a pass-fail, they interpret that one way or another. My understanding is that in this period of time, nobody's going to take them negatively. So don't worry about pass-fails. The next question, with classes moving to an online format, does this affect 9/11 GI benefits? No, it does not affect 9/11 GI benefits. And there have been some allowances made that normally aren't allowed. So if you have any questions about your GI, post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, please get a hold of our Veterans Office. They're available every day, even if the office is closed, by phone. So get with them, they can answer that. Is there some kind of aid that SUU is giving to those of us who cannot go home? I'm not sure what that question is, I'm not sure what you mean by aid. So if you have a job, we're going to keep you paid. If what you mean is like food, those kinds of things, the Hope Pantry is remaining open. So if you find yourself hungry and in need of help, the Hope Pantry will always be open, and our other services will always be available. And we've added the number of jobs for summer. So we've increased our summer jobs to try to help out. Some teachers aren't willing to work with Canvas, and students have to come on campus to check their grades. Is there anything the school could do about this, or is it up to the teachers, such as enforcing the use of Canvas or other online platforms? You will never have to come on campus. If you have made a decision to move home, you do not have to come on campus for any purpose at all, even to check your grade. If there's some confusion with some of your faculty members, we'll make sure that that's clarified for them. And if you struggle in any way, please call your department. Call the academic department. So if it's a teacher in one of the departments, just call that department office. Because you will not have to come on campus for any purpose through the rest of the semester. Let's see, if I have a personal tutor through Trio, can I still meet with my tutor one-on-one? You need to call your tutor. So get a hold of the Trio office and talk to them. And if there's some unique exceptions, they'll have answers to that question. Are we still allowed to meet face-to-face with our professors about things? That's going to be handled by each faculty member. So communicate with your faculty members and they can answer those questions. Any tips for students who are new to online classes or struggle with them? So my first answer to that question, that is a great question. My first answer is you should feel more sorry for your teachers because for some of them, this is their first experience too. And for some of the faculty members, they're not as savvy with some of this technology as you are. So you probably are better off than our teachers are. My suggestion to you is that one of the reasons why face-to-face works for some people better than online is because the face-to-face, you have to show up 3 times a week and you meet with other people in the classroom. So my suggestion is to not give away that social piece. So find another student in your class or get with a brother, sister, or parent or somebody else and say, I'm going to need somebody to hold me accountable and to kind of help me work through all of this so that you still have that social connection. You can get online with your classmates. You can set up little Facebook groups, all kinds of things. So find ways to keep it social as much as you can. And my experience has been probably the same as yours, that we face these things that are new and interesting challenges, and they're a little nerve-wracking at first or scary. But once we just force our way into it, we usually learn something. What you're going to find in your entire life, this is really kind of an interesting question. When I went to law school, so I'm a lawyer and I worked as a lawyer for 17 years before I started working in higher education 13 years ago. When I went to law school, all of our research was online. All of our research was in libraries looking at books. Everything. There was no online research at all. This is before Google. It was before all these online resources. And so we had these books, and then I had to start learning how to do research online. And you know what? It was kind of overwhelming because I learned how to do it one way and online was more difficult. But what we found out was, after doing it for a while, that the online research was 1,000 times better than going to the books because I could do word searches. If I explained the details of this, you would really understand it. But what most people find when they move to online is that it's actually more convenient and more efficient for them. So if it's really hard, keep it social, find some friends, back each other up, hold each other accountable so that you keep moving along on time, and then look for the opportunities that come out of this. Look for the ways that it's more convenient for you. Okay, here we go. Next question. Just wanted to give you a big thanks for all you do, including this forum. I like these kind of questions. This is discouraging for a lot of us, actually. We've had to go through a lot of late nights. A lot of us gave up our spring breaks so that we could get things ready for you when you came back. Your faculty and staff, regardless of how it looks today, have put in a lot of time of their own personal time, vacation time breaks, late nights to try to get things ready. And I really appreciate your encouragement. You answered all my questions, even though you got to it before you saw it. SUU loves you and hope you and your family stay safe. Thanks. And I hope you all stay safe too. Please take this 6 foot seriously. When I was your age, you know, I felt the same way you do, kind of immortal. Like, yeah, I can ride my motorcycle as fast as I want and I can go rock climbing and not worry about it. And the older we get, the more we realize that we can get hurt. But what you need to remember is that the goal is not only to keep you safe. Well, that is a major goal. The goal is to stop it from spreading. So if somebody gives it to you and you give it to somebody else and they give it to somebody else, that makes it hard on everybody else. So please stay safe. Please honor the 6-foot rule. Just keep yourself 6 feet away from other people, and stay in small groups. All that I can see is that this doesn't get transferred through food. So continue eating 3 meals a day, and your snacks. Get your rest. If you eat well, if you get your sleep, your immune system is stronger. Just do all those healthy kinds of things. Do what your mother told you to do. Are all on-campus activities canceled? Pretty much. Pretty much. Athletics is canceled. The activities are canceled. We're trying to find ways of promoting kind of social distancing activities. So you may see some of those things sprout up in our social media. Your student fees are all still being used, paying for the services that they go for. And what isn't used will be saved for next semester. As I said, we can't refund them. The state doesn't allow us to. With student workers for the summer, I know that they need to take at least 3 credit hour face-to-face in order to work on campus. Is there any changes? If we're not able to deliver face-to-face, it will definitely change. And we'll let you know before the semester starts. Our hope is that we don't know. So every day there's something new for us, just as there is for you. But we're hoping at least a month in advance we'll know if we're going to be able to go back to face-to-face classes this summer. We're expecting it, but we don't know for sure yet. Let's see. Next question. SUU canceled graduation because the state said to. If the state didn't say to, would SUU have still had graduation? That is a great question. It's hypothetical, and I don't know the answer because we hadn't worked through everything before we would have gotten to the answer. So before we had decided, the state told us we had to anyway. What is happening with commencement? So I hope this is a happy thought for you. I talk with all of the presidents regularly. We have conference calls at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, so that we can share ideas of what we're doing. I think that SUU is the only school that when commencement was canceled made a decision to immediately get with the student body officers who are graduating this year. And you have a survey that's being sent out to you or has been sent out to you. So watch for that in your email and let us know what you would like us to do. So there's a lot of different ideas. And I actually think that we're going to find something that will be really meaningful for you and that you'll enjoy it. And like I said in the email I sent out to you, you're going to be telling your children and your grandchildren about this. I was just thinking that my mother never lived through something like this. A lot of people don't have these kind of experiences in their lives. This is pretty rare. I'm almost 60. This is the first time that we've had a pandemic that has had any impact at all on me. And God willing, we won't have another one in my lifetime, and hopefully in your lifetime too. But other generations have had more serious problems. Other generations lived through Vietnam and through World War II and through the Great Depression. So what we're being asked to do is a lot less than what your grandparents and great-grandparents have had to work through. Okay, let's see. I know that the money for cap and gowns was refunded. Is there a possibility to buy them again so the graduating class can take pictures, since the plan for commencement has yet to be decided? Absolutely. We're going to find a way to celebrate, and we're going to celebrate big. And if you want pictures, we're going to make that possible for you, as conveniently for you as we can possibly make it. And Anyway, we're looking forward to your input on what we might do for commencement. Will any study abroad trips be offered in the fall? As you know, all of our study abroads in May and June have been canceled, and we're heartbroken about that because those are such great experiences. We're expecting the ones in the fall will go, and we're expecting the ones next spring break, next summer will all go. So here's for hope that it's going to happen. I think you can probably plan on them, and we'll have more information further out from fall. Given that all the computer labs will be open, what are the precautions being taken to make sure these labs are clean and safe to continue to use? What are the protocols in place if a student tests positively for COVID-19? Who has used these resources? So it's a great question. Some of our student employees, like the ones working in the fitness center, who no longer have that job, but want to continue working, have a need to continue working, they'll be shifted to reassignments, and one of those is going to be running through all these labs, constantly cleaning. So my advice to you is wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Don't touch your face, never touch your face. If you don't touch your face, then you're safe. And if you wash your hands and touch your face, then you're safer. And I'd have hand sanitizer with you if you can get it. I'd just put a bottle of hand sanitizer in your backpack if you can get it. But we will be cleaning these constantly, to make sure that you're safe. Question, I don't have access to Wi-Fi, and I have people living with me who are severely at risk. How am I supposed to do online classes in the library and not put my loved ones at risk? What we're doing in the labs is distancing them all so that nobody can sit within 6 feet of each other. And as long as you stay more than 6 feet away from anyone, what we're being told by public health workers is that you're going to be fine. As I'm talking right now, there's moisture coming out of my mouth, and it doesn't go 6 feet away. So for people sitting 6 feet away from me, you're fine. This is a respiratory thing that's being transferred. So just keep your safe distance. Plus, if you're really concerned about that, the library has Chromebooks that they can check out for you. So if you're living with grandparents or small children and you don't want to come into the labs because that makes you nervous, hightail it over to the library and see if you can check out one of those Chromebooks while they're still available. Last word I had is that we've got 50 of them available. Our writing fellows available for face-to-face appointments. I don't have the answer to that, but my assumption is no. So call the writing center. They'll answer the phones, and they can give you a good answer to that question. But every one of these kinds of things that's being done face-to-face can be done just as well online. We just have to get used to it. You may not know this, at least those of you that are 18, 19, 20. I lived in an era where there was no online dating. You couldn't meet anybody online. And then when it started, nobody would admit that no one would admit that he met his partner or her partner online because it was kind of like a creeper sort of thing. Today, I don't know anybody that's not meeting their partner online. And you're doing it because you like it. So what you're going to find is that a lot of these things, like tutoring, is going to be so convenient for you online that a lot of you will find that you'll really like it. It's high quality. Anyway, there you go. There's my dating app analogy for you. What seems impossible all of a sudden becomes okay, and then we love it. We love it. If the blocks are needing to be moved online in the summer, would it be possible for them to be available for the entire summer instead of just one session? So I'm trying to figure out exactly what that question's asking. We have a first block, second block, and all summer long. classes. They all fit into one of those three modes. Students are already registering for blocks or for the summer long. If we end up having to change our face-to-face classes to online, it's possible that we could add semester-long classes online. But mostly, I think what you'll find is that the first block classes that are face-to-face would be made online only. So we'll monitor that. That's an interesting question, and I'll pass that on to our academic leadership. Will more classes move online in the future since they are getting experience? Our plan is to always remain a strong, exciting, vibrant face-to-face university. We think that that's a niche that we do well, and we love having you here. So we don't anticipate that we will diminish our face-to-face experience. We're continuing to build it. And as I mentioned early in this forum, we're building the biggest academic building we've ever had on campus, and it's for all face-to-face instruction. So we're continuing to invest and grow that. But at the same time, we're going to continue to expand online. So you're going to see more and more and more offerings online. More bachelor's degrees, more master's degrees available online. We're hoping to be one of the leaders in Utah for online opportunities. Question, how are you feeling with COVID being a concern? Are you scared or worried? A lot of students, myself included, don't really know how to feel other than stir crazy and lonely. Sorry, weird question. No, that is not a weird question. That is probably what everyone is thinking. Because I have some friends that say they're panicking, and some other friends are, this is overblown, and everything in between. This is my feeling about it. My feeling about it is that it's not anything that I can control. And I'm almost 60 years old, and there have been a lot of things in my life that I have not been able to completely control. But I've worked through them all. And I've studied history. And looking back 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, there are interruptions in our lives all the time. And they unsettle us. They create some anxieties for us. But once we start working through them, we come out stronger. So my answer is I feel sad about this whole thing because part of the energy that I get is from associating with students on campus, and I can't do that. But I don't feel worried about our future, and I don't feel very worried about any of you because I know that you're going to be able to get on top of this. This is one of those moments. Once, like for me, when I got through law school, knowing only how to do legal research with books, and then I had to figure out how to do it online. A little scary at first, but I got used to it, and then it became even better. So you're going to have the exact same experience. And as you work through your lives, your careers, there's going to be multiple times that there's big disruptions. Big disruptions. You're going to go through different kinds of jobs. You're going to get different bosses. They're going to expect different things out of you. Some of your jobs will kind of fade away, actually, and new jobs come in. So if I was you, this is what I would do. I would say, okay, it's all right to be a little sad about this because I miss the social interaction. But what a great opportunity for me as a college student to practice working through disruption in my life, because it's going to keep happening. So do it now when the stakes are a little bit lower, and you'll be grateful. You'll be grateful for this. I really believe that as we look back on this, we're going to all look back on it as a time when we pulled together and helped each other and found strength within us that we didn't know we had, and learned something that we otherwise weren't expecting. Okay, next question. TDS was offering free internet to students in the Cedar area. There you go. That's not a question. Thanks, Sharon Brown, for sending that in. If you don't have on internet at home, TDS apparently is offering them for free. So contact them. Here's a comment from our provost. We're practicing social distancing here. He's in his office a little ways away. Provost Eves, we will be revisiting study abroad trips that start in August and hopefully make a timely decision for the benefit of those who are making plans to participate. So you'll get updated on this. Next question, when do students need to be out of the dorms and when are reimbursements happening? You don't have to leave the dorm if you don't want to. We know that some of you don't have anywhere to go, so you're welcome to stay. We might encourage you to go home with your family or whoever you would go home to. We might encourage you to do that, but we're not going to force anybody to move out unless the governor makes some edict, which we don't expect. So nobody has to move out. So when do you need to move out? It's when it's convenient for you. When will the reimbursement come? Just get with your RAs or somebody in your housing complex that's working there, and they can give you all the updates on that. Why didn't Cedar Hall residents get a warning before closing the common rooms? I wish I had an answer, except to say I apologize if nobody got notice in advance. Your question is, I had dietary restrictions and I needed that space. Get with your housing employees that can help you and talk to them about your concerns, and they'll help work out some solutions for you. Next question, is there going to be some way we can get assistance or a way that our final tuition payment can be cut? My work hours have been cut back and I do not have financial aid, and I will not be taking out a student loan over this mess. We will talk about what we might be able to do with the payments for tuition for those that have special needs. As I mentioned, we're not able to give any refunds, so we can't do that. And I understand a lot of people don't want to take out student loans. I was exactly like you. For those that don't want to take out student loans, I refused to borrow money when I was an undergraduate student. But I did borrow money as a graduate student. And I would say to you that for those of you that are uncertain, I mean, if your commitment is you're never going to borrow money, then good for you. I applaud you. If you're not certain, I would remind you this is a great investment. If you have to borrow for money for 1 or 2 semesters, financially you're better off than if you drop out for those semesters, because you'll get into a professional career more quickly. The people in America that are really having a hard time with student loan repayments are those that weren't careful when they borrowed the money. They borrowed more than they needed, or they went to very, very expensive schools and got degrees that were not likely to get them jobs that would help them pay the money back. I have friends that went to very expensive private liberal arts universities and ended up with a couple $100,000 worth of student loan debt to get a degree in areas that they were never going to be able to pay that money back. So just be smart about it, but don't be too nervous about borrowing some student loan money if you need to. You're better to stay on track and graduate. What about international students here on F1 visas being online? Will this affect our standing as interdisciplinary students? No, it will not affect your standing. Stay in contact with the International Student Office. They can help answer specific questions, but you're okay. The classes that you're taking online right now are face-to-face classes that are being delivered online. So, and the federal government has given us all kinds of allowances. So we're okay. You shouldn't have any problems with that. Why is the second floor of the library and the study room, why are the second floor and study rooms closed? The answer is that we're trying to minimize contact as much as we can and answer the request from the governor's office and Commissioner's Office and CDC, the Center for Disease Control, to close campus as much as we can. So we're closing campus as much as we can, but we're still leaving the services open, and we're keeping enough spaces for you to study. You can still find places for group study on campus. Small groups, please don't do it in large groups. How do we return rented textbooks? It'll be the same method as before. The bookstore will have the same return opportunities for you. You might be asking, Colton, if you've moved home with your rented textbooks, how do you get them back down? My assumption is it's still during that window of time that you return books. I don't know if there's any requirements for the bookstore to have them back by a certain day, because they have to get them back in the inventory or return them to suppliers. My suggestion to you is to assume the same window, but we'll be communicating that information out to you. So you'll know when they need to be returned. And if you have any problems, let us know. Please let us know, and we'll find ways to help you out. Is the PE building closed for the rest of the semester? Yes, it is. The PE building will be closed through spring semester. Fortunately, the outside is still open, and that's where I'm getting my exercise. So if you're willing to run 6 feet away from me, I'm happy to exercise with any of you. We can, because I still run every single day. Okay, here we go. After the quarantine, would there be a healthcare center on SUU to deal with public health issues like this? So this is a question about, are we, I guess the question is, are we going to add a health center on campus? And I don't know the answer to that. We have had a health center in the past, and for whatever reason, prior to my coming here, they decided that it wasn't being used enough and moved the funds supporting the medical health center over to CAPS, to mental health counseling. So that was one of the ways that we really ramped up mental health. Mental health is not as available in Cedar City, but we have a lot of medical services in Cedar City that are convenient for students. We just really, frankly, haven't had a lot of demand from students. You asked for this, but it's been pretty small, actually. And in my last school that I worked at, the health clinic was closed because there wasn't enough use for it. So it might partly be that we've got great medical health care in Cedar City that's pretty close. But if you want this kind of a service expanded, I think we're getting or have a kiosk. So we have something available in the Student Center, a private kiosk by the Health and Wellness Center. But we're always open to suggestions. So let us know what you're thinking. Next question. Thank you for working so hard for your students. Thank you for that great question. This is what it's all about for us. Our whole jobs are about helping you be happy, healthy, successful. And let us know how we can do better. Let's see. Any other questions? If we're struggling with the online format or just with the situation in general, can teachers give us an I grade to help give us a little more time to adjust? Please get with your teacher and talk to them and find out. Because I think that you're going to find that they're going to be as accommodating as they possibly can. Let's see, next question. Is there anything being done to address xenophobia and racism arising from the outbreak? Thanks for that question. Yeah, we're trying to send out messages and work on that. This is one of those things that breaks my heart when I hear about it, and it's happening all across the country, and it's happening right here in Cedar City and at SUU as well. Please remember that our international students did not cause this problem. And Like we have students from Wuhan, China, where this outbreak started. But our students didn't cause this problem. They're a long ways from home. Their family back home are struggling with it, just like people are around the world. This is the time for us to be extra kind and patient with others, to smile more, to reach out to others more, to see how we can be helpful. My suggestion is that you find someone that's different than you, whether that's a minority, an international student, or if you're an international student, find some kid from a small town in Utah. Let's all reach out to each other 6 feet apart on social media, but let's all reach out to each other and find ways that we can help and support each other and not beat each other down. Hopefully we can, if there's anything that we can instill in you as a student, it's that this is a world and we all have to help each other. Is the SUU daycare hoping to still open? Yes, we're still planning on it opening. I'm sure it will, actually. Pretty sure it will, unless something totally unexpected occurs. The timing is right. The building is going to be done on time. We're hiring people to work there already. We've got a waiting list already being built up. So you should plan on that being available. What can students do to support SUU right now? The best thing that you can do to support SUU right now is find a way to be patient with your faculty members and the staff members that are helping you. But maybe even more than that, please find a way to support your fellow students and help them. A lot of us have some anxieties over this. Just maybe set aside a minute every day to call 2 or 3 other people and see how you can help them. Let's all encourage each other. This is a great opportunity to reach down and find a way that we can that our lives can be really meaningful for others. How will finals week be handled? This is going to depend on your faculty members. Everyone is going to be a little different. So look to each of your separate teachers on how that'll be. Some will still have a test. The test might be online. Some will have projects, papers. All that will be specific to your separate class. Are we still allowing potential students to come to campus for tours? We have canceled tours. So we're not promoting campus tours anymore. We've taken the red riot and canceled that. Hopefully there'll be a time in the summer when we can have a red riot again. And hopefully there'll be times in the summer when we can do tours, but we're moving away from all those things. Thank you for everything that you do, but I would like to know if everything is going to shut down completely when or if we get a case of the virus here in Cedar. We actually don't think everything will close down completely. It might close down to the public. And we'll be monitoring people's health. But for each one of you, keep 6 feet social distance. I can't tell you that enough times. You know a lot about the outdoors. Where can we go? I'd love to social distance outside, but I'm new to the area. Allison, send me an email and I'll send you some information back, or I'll have somebody call you. Or go to the SUU Outdoors office, and there'll be a phone number and some information on their door, and they can give you suggestions. I can tell you a place that I love to go. I like to go just right up Cedar Canyon. So I start at the university and just run straight up University Boulevard. And after about 3 blocks east of Main Street, you'll see a little park. And at that park, there's a paved walking, biking, jogging trail that goes south. And there's one that goes up the canyon. And if you follow the one up the canyon, you're going to see these amazing hikes on the north side of the road. It's really cool spots. And then if you go out to the airport, you can wander up, not the airport, the golf course, Thunderbird Gardens. There's a whole bunch of trails there. Out at Three Peaks. There's just so many places. It's just incredible. Graduation. Another question about that. We are going to take care of you. We're going to have a very memorable graduation. Different. It's going to be memorable, and we're still waiting for your input. The graduation fee, I don't think is going to be reimbursed because that pays the costs for diplomas and those kinds of things, but the cap and gown rental charge will be reimbursed. If there's new information about that, we'll get with you. Question about graduating with associate degrees at the end of this semester. Will we be able to continue? Oh, that's a good question. So you don't have to have a graduation ceremony to get the degree. We're still going to be granting you an associate degree even without the graduation ceremony. Same with bachelor's and master's degrees. So your degrees will still be awarded, and then you can just continue working. If we have more questions, where can we send them? Please go to our website, and you'll see the place where we have all of our updates posted. We'll continually update frequently asked questions, and you can submit questions that can be answered. So let us know how we can help you and answer more questions. I think that this is going to turn off in about, what, 8 minutes. Okay, I've got a couple minutes of follow-up, but I'll keep answering questions, and I'll speed up the pace. Thank you, President Wyatt, for making this time seem less daunting. We are glad you are present during this time. Thank you, Katie. I love being here. And frankly, I like difficult challenges. I haven't always liked them. But after a little experience, we get better and better at them. And so will you. What if my boss is forcing me to come to campus to work, even though it can be done online reasonably? I don't know if I have an answer to you, but we need to find a way. Let us know with a separate message, okay, so that we can help you with that. Send me an email or get a hold of somebody, and we'll see what we can figure out. Anybody that can do it remotely, we want you to be able to do it remotely. What does celebrate big mean? That's the question. It means that we'll tell you. I don't know the answer. But we might have more than one celebration. We might have something for you on the day of commencement, and then have something else available, and then do something else at homecoming. We're just not going to forget this. It's just too important to celebrate with you. And we're going to find the best that we can possibly do. Which situation has been more difficult for you? This no snow day or this? That's a nice question. I like that too. The happiest day of my life was when I declared a snow day. One of the most frustrating was when I didn't. all the best information we had was to not declare a snow day that day, and I wish I'd have done it. In retrospect, we would have, but the information we had was not bad. This is more difficult, of course. What is going to happen to the President's Book Club? We should do that by Zoom, shouldn't we? I have a book club, for those of you who don't know. We meet and read 3 or 4 books every semester. We'll find a way to do the book club. Can COVID-19 testing be available on campus free to students? If we had access to testing, we would make it free for you. But we don't have access to testing. So that's all being done through your physicians and the mental health authority. There's a limit to how many tests that they've got, so they're restricting them. Anybody that has symptoms should assume that they have COVID-19 and act accordingly. But we aren't able to have those tests. Can clubs still meet if it's small in number on campus? The answer is that if you have a club and you want to meet, then you can still meet. Not in groups greater than 10, so you may have to break into small groups, and not if you're closer than 6 feet. So if your club is flag football, you can't play that without being within 6 feet of each other. But if your club allows you to spread out, then please do. We don't want to shut the world down for you. Okay, let me jump to something. We've got 3 more images that I want to show. The first one that you can see is a picture of a ship. And I posted this on my Facebook page a few days ago. A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships were made for. And this is so true for people. That's why this quote is such an important one. That we're all safe at home, being protected by our parents, but that's not the point. The point is that we venture out, we take risks, and when we take risks, sometimes things don't go well. But we learn from this. We become stronger and stronger and stronger. My favorite saying is, "No one became strong by living a life of ease." We become strong and develop into the kind of people that I know you can all become by facing these disruptions and disappointments and working through them. And they just continue through our lives. You'll be more prepared for the next one than you were for this one. I posted this on my Facebook page, and then my sister posted her favorite quote. And the image you can now see, I put that with a picture of a ship. Guido, this guy lived, I can't remember, but like 1,000 years ago. A monk in Italy and a musician. And since, after all, storms must eventually yield to fair weather, let us sail cheerfully and with a good hope. So we all know that difficulties come and then they go. Remember that this too will pass. There are bright sunny days in the future. We'll be back together face to face. Life is good. We've got a great life. And I'm looking forward to these bright, blue, sunny days that we are so accustomed to here in Cedar City. It always happens. It always comes back. It's kind of a reminder that we get every year, because winter comes and then it's followed by spring every year. This is the cycle of life. Now, the last image, since I've given you these metaphors from ships, I just want to remind you that ever since a lighthouse was built in Cedar City, there have been no shipwrecks. And we're not going to have shipwrecks either, so you're safe. I wish you the very, very best. This is going to shut off here in about 1 minute. But I just want my last words to you to be encouraging and to remind you that you are stronger than you think. You have faced difficulties in your past and worked through them, and you will face difficulties in your future and you'll work through them, just like I have and just like I will in my future as well. So all the best. Good luck. Let us know how we can be supportive and helpful. All the services remain open. You just may have to call instead of walk into the office. And I look forward to seeing you at some special graduation ceremony. Those that are graduating, I look forward to seeing some of you in the summer and the rest of you in the fall. Remember, it's a good life. And we're going to get through this together. Be kind to each other. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Get your sleep. Eat well. Keep your shoelaces tied when you run. Talk to you later. Bye.